Epictetus was born in chains, but no one ever truly owned him. He said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Now ask yourself this: can a man be free? If he was grown in a lab and trained to obey, the Republic didn't build an army. It built ownership papers. 10 million identical ownership papers, each one wearing armor. I'm Cole Braddock. Call me Gage. This is Trench Meditations, Star Wars edition, where we don't debate morality, we dig it out of the wreckage. Like, share, subscribe, lock in. Let me tell you about Epictetus. Born a slave in the Roman Empire. Property from day one. His master broke his leg, crippled him for life. And you know what Epictetus said? "You can break my leg, but you cannot break my will." That slave became the teacher of emperors. From a rented room in exile, he taught Marcus Aurelius how to think. They could beat his body. They could sell him like livestock. But his mind belonged to him. He said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. No one can hurt you without your permission." Now take that philosophy and set it beside a clone trooper. CT 5555, CT 7567, CT 2224. Numbers, not names. Born in tanks, raised in barracks, told from day one what they were for. Epictetus chose freedom. The clones, they were built not to choose. Epictetus said, "No one can own your mind unless you give it." The clones were designed not to resist ownership, not just to serve, but to accept it without question. Think about that. Epictetus broke his chains with thought. The clones were built with chains in their genes. No reflection, no resistance, just loyalty as code. Behavioral conditioning from birth. Accelerated aging to skip the years when men learn to think. Inhibitor chips to override any thought that might lead to freedom. They weren't just enslaved. They were engineered to love their enslavement. Stoics taught that self-governance is the foundation of virtue. You cannot be virtuous if you cannot choose. And you cannot choose if you were built not to want to. Clone soldiers had no governance of self. They were denied the most basic Stoic right, the ability to choose suffering over surrender. Epictetus said, "Suffering is the crucible where character is forged. But if your pain was assigned by design, who owns that soul?" When a slave chooses to endure, he becomes free in his mind. When a clone endures, he's just following programming. Epictetus could walk out of slavery with nothing but a thought. The clones weren't given enough time to learn what freedom even meant. They went from tank to training to battlefield. No childhood, no discovery, no rebellion, just purpose, manufactured purpose. I've served beside volunteers, men who chose their path. I fought next to conscripts, men who were forced into service but still had the capacity to hate it. And I've seen men cornered into uniform, no good options left, but they still knew they were choosing the least bad choice. That's still choice, still agency, still human. The clones, they weren't given options, good, bad, or otherwise. I've seen men die for causes they hated, just because no one gave them another road. But the clones, there was no road, just a hallway. One way, no doors. And here's what keeps me up at night. Some of them started to wake up. Fives questioning the orders. Rex taking off his helmet. Cut discovering his humanity on a backwater planet. Each one was committing an act of rebellion, not against the Republic, but against the idea that you can manufacture a soul. But the system was ready for that. Order 66 wasn't just about killing Jedi. It was about killing the part of the clones that had learned to think, reducing them back to their original programming, back to being property. Would Epictetus have seen them as men, or as something else? Epictetus taught emperors that only your own reason belongs to you. Your thoughts, your choices, your will, that's what makes you human. But if even your reason is engineered, if your thoughts come pre-installed, if your will was designed by committee, are you a man, or just a mask? The Republic made masks. Epictetus would have seen it clearly. They built men to look free, and called them property. They gave them faces, voices, the ability to feel pain, to form bonds, to sacrifice. But they took away the one thing that makes sacrifice meaningful. The choice not to. That's not discipline. That's theft. Theft of the most fundamental kind. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." The clones were built to want only one thing: to serve, to obey, to die well, and the Republic called that virtue. Virtue without choice isn't virtue. It's just good engineering. When Epictetus chose to forgive his master, that was virtue. When a clone forgave his creators for making him expendable, that was programming. Difference: Epictetus could have chosen hatred. The clones were built incapable of it. Every clone who chose a name was committing philosophy. Every clone who questioned an order was practicing Stoicism. Every clone who died protecting someone else was becoming human in his final moment. But they had to fight their own design to get there. Fight their programming. Fight their purpose. Epictetus fought his chains. The clones had to fight their genes. If you believe no one's born free, they become free. Hit that like. Subscribe. Share this with someone who thinks loyalty is just another word for control. Slavery wears many faces, even one that looks like yours. Let's remember together, always.